So the first part, the first letter in the E.D.G.E acronym, myself, Troy Francis and Les's flagship course, the E.D.G.E version 3 is coming out soon. It's something that, again, a bit like the sexual shame piece, the godlike sexual magnetism development, the letter G in the acronym of the E.D.G.E, the elite male hormone optimization doesn't really get talked about much, does it?
Not really, no. Male hormone optimization gets talked about, but it tends to be talked about in the context of fitness, doesn't it? And training and getting ripped and all that stuff. It doesn't really get talked about in terms of dating. The thing is, what we realized over the last 12 months is a lot of the dudes who come to us for coaching, you know, they ostensibly they want to get better with women, they want to get better dating results. A lot of these guys don't really have the drive to actually go out there and get at it. And then you kind of wonder, why is that?
We had it yesterday or over the weekend with one of our students, Mr. T, who, although he said his, testosterone levels are on point, we now always ask them, because up until recently, I'd say probably 90% of the guys over 30 that come to us for clients have issues with thyroid or testosterone levels or other kind of male hormone things that you don't know what you don't know. So forcing them really at gunpoint to get blood tests and then get analysis with one of the world's leading male hormone experts we work with, E.D.G.E, has been fundamental, because when they kind of dial that stuff in, it's almost like biohacking for your body. And we're both testaments to that. I mean, I feel at 37 better than I did at 18.
Absolutely.
And I had a number of issues I just didn't know. I had low testosterone manifested through high levels of something called SHGB, which binds up the testosterone in your system. I had problems with thyroid and low growth hormone levels, and this sort of stuff. It's going to have a massive knock-on to how you interact with the world, really. Not just dating. It's going to affect your energy levels, your ambition, your drive to get out of it. You're probably going to be overly emotional.
So the way that you perform across, not just with women, but just in general.
In general, testosterone is the lifeblood of masculinity. And if you're lacking that, you're going to have issues with dating and all other aspects when it comes to getting after it as a man. Because as a man, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you view it, you should see it as fortunate, but we have to go on the proverbial hero's journey and self-actualize across the board, don't we? And having that kind of oomph, that drive of testosterone flooding through your veins is going to make it a lot easier. Now, we're not suggesting guys go out and just get jacked up the eyeballs on anabolics if they don't need them. But speaking from the experience of having the analysis done with the bloods and then working with E.D.G.E, we both did need it, and we feel markedly better because of that, right?
When you think about it, right, you want to get to this elite level with dating, right? You want to meet, ostensibly, guys who watch our stuff, they want to get into dating if they're not getting any action in the first place. And if they are getting some action, they want to get better results. They want to get better women, okay? That is not an easy thing necessarily to do, particularly in today's dating marketplace, which is the toughest that it's ever been. So in order to crack that code, you're going to need some level of persistence. You're going to need some level of in order to get out there, interact with a decent number of women, particularly women who are probably, you might feel initially, are out of your league, right? You need to have some power behind you in order to do that. If you don't have that power behind you, then you're at a loss already. And a lot of guys just don't. They'll come to one of our programs, like, I kind of want to, and then they don't really take any action. They don't really do anything. And it's like, and you've got to look at it and you've got to think, for me, it was always quite confusing, because you look at it and you think, well, why aren't you just doing the bare minimum? Why aren't you talking to 10 or 20 women a week or whatever it is to optimize your chances in this? Because sex is such a motivating thing.
I mean, it is the be all and end all. One of the guys that we follow back in the day, Good Looking Loser, he always talks about it, but he said, when your desire to get laid outweighs your desire for validation, then you stop giving a fuck about rejection. I think the fundamental problem we see, circling it back around to the student we had this weekend, Mr. T, was there seems to be just a lack of desire to get laid. And that really is the only reason I ever started doing this stuff, because I wanted to get laid. I wasn't, dating the kind of women I wanted to date. And there is obviously the whole social freedom development, and you want to soak up the female validation. Really, the key to this is just getting after it in a sexual sense.
And if you don't have the essential drive to do that, then there's a problem. And also, you're just not going to get the results, okay? So,
but also just dialing, we talked about it in the other video, when you've got your testosterone levels souped up, you're feeling horny and masculine, you're automatically on a pheromonal level kind of attracting women in. And the way you look at women is more animalistic, it's more sexual. And you can almost kind of kill two birds with one stone, can't you? Because you can project more of a sexual intent. And you're more comfortable doing that when your body's flooded with testosterone. And as we talked about in the other section, a lot of guys struggle with kind of sexual tension, sexual confidence, sexual agenda, projecting a sexual agenda. Getting the testosterone and the other hormones dialed in helps with that side of it as well.
And then it all kind of came together, I guess, for both of us, like as a jigsaw puzzle, because we recognized that, like it's been talked about for a number of years, globally, testosterone is at an all-time low, isn't it? And it's falling something like 1% a year, I think, globally. Levels of testosterone today are significantly lower than they would have been in the 1980s or the 1950s. This stuff is all proven by data. It's all out there if you want to look it up. But clearly there's an issue, particularly seems to be in the West or the Anglosphere, with levels of testosterone. And you've got this rise of male virginity, this rise of inceldom and so on. There are other complicating factors.
I think it's definitely correlated.
Yeah, because dating is also getting tougher for other reasons. But if you've also got a bunch of guys who just don't have the drive, they don't have the oomph that they did before, then